وسام،
Hey Rami.
كيف حالك؟
الحمد لله الحمد لله.
الحمد لله، إن شاء الله دائما أبدا. حسام، إحنا بالعادة بنعطي دائما 5 to 10 minutes buffer قبل ما الناس together, you know?
ما فيش مشكلة. All good all good.
Yes sir.
تمام تمام. Rami, I will share my screen just at least to test the setup.
Yes, go ahead.
Right, just to avoid wasting people's time when they join.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hello.
الله، كيفك؟
الحمد لله تمام. كيفك انت؟ كيفك حسام؟
الحمد لله.
جميع
الحمد لله الحمد لله. Okay, something is okay. Share. Let's see if this is working. Do you see my screen, Rami?
Yes.
Amazing. All right.
So basically, let's start. People will join يعني.
It's okay. Yeah, not a problem.
أهلا وسهلا فيكم كلياتكم. أنا اسمي رامي قوار، بشتغل في شركة اسمها كلاود فيست، وأنا AWS COMMUNITY بيلدر في الأردن. وزي ما كلكم تعرفوا، للناس اللي بيجوا عندنا دائما، للناس اللي بيجوا أول مرة، أهلا وسهلا فيكم. احنا ب AWS COMMUNITY تبعت الأردن، الغاية تبعتنا to share the knowledge, to spread the knowledge as much as we can. We try to help and we help برضو as much as we can. اليوم التوبيك تبعنا راح نحكي على AWS reinvent recap. طبعا نعرف انه كل سنه AWS بيعملوا هيوج ايفنت اسمه reinvent، ودائما بيكون associated بكثير اخبار وابديتس. فمعانا المهندس حسام، هو السينيور كلاود ابلكيشن اركيتكت في امازون، راح يخبرنا شويه عن الليتست ابديتس اللي صارت في الكمبيوت باور داتابيس. اكيد الاي اي والام ال، انه هاي الاريا بحس انه هلا العالم كله رايح عليها، والستورج. حسام، يو هاف المايك.
شكرا يا رامي، شكرا ليك. Thanks for everyone joining the session today. I'm Hussam Barakat. As Rami mentioned, I'm a senior cloud architect with AWS. I'm based in Dubai. Today, my focus will be going through a lot of the announcements that I think are pretty cool, from compute to storage, and good chunk would be around the data and Gen AI, and how would you prepare your data for Gen AI applications. I don't think I will be able to cover كل الannouncements اللي حصلت في reinvent. It will take like maybe 2-3 hours easily. So I'll be going through some of the announcements that I think would be like used by a lot of people and quite interesting. Some of them I just might be biased with my choices sometimes, but I hope you will like it. And at the end, if you have questions, we'll try to have some time for the Q&A. So, okay, let's I want to start the timer to keep an eye on time. Here you go. Okay, there you go. So, as I said, in general, there have been so many announcements in reInvent, from focusing on, like, as AWS, we try to help our customers to optimize their price performance and time to market. So I will cover some of the announcements related to that from compute, storage, and networking. I will also cover how some of the announcements that came in reInvent that will help our customers to make their life easier to build applications and increase their productivity. So we'll talk about the database and data lake observability and Gen AI assistance related to that. And on top of that, we'll have a good amount of time talking about building a strong data foundation that can be used by Gen AI applications. And we'll talk about the Gen AI related announcements, which is basically the most common trend right now in the industry. So to kick things off by talking on the compute part, we have realized almost 10 years ago that if we wanted to continue pushing the envelope on the price performance for all of the workloads, we had to reinvent the general purpose computing for the cloud. And this has to be done all the way down to the silicon. In 2018, we became the first major cloud provider to develop our own general purpose compute processors, and that's when we announced Graviton, our server processor chip. Our customers have loved the cost savings that comes with Graviton and the scale-out workloads from microservices to web applications. After that, we brought Graviton 2, which improved the performance 7-fold for a wide variety of workloads, and it was really great. But again, we didn't stop there. We have our current generation of Graviton, which is Graviton 3, which delivered 25 better compute performance compared to Graviton 2. In reInvent, we have announced the next generation of Graviton, which is Graviton 4. Graviton 4 is the latest generation of our Graviton processor, which is the most powerful and energy efficient. And this will provide you with a 50% more cores and 67% more memory bandwidth. So in general, it provides you with a 30% faster on average than Graviton 3. And it's even better for certain workloads. So if you have database applications, it could give you up to 40% faster performance, and even 45% faster for large Java applications. So out of curiosity, how many of the attendees actually are like using Java applications? Just put like a reaction that, yeah, thank you. Only one on Java? Right. Everyone else on Python? Okay, there you go.
Get you excited and I give you my thumbs up.
All right. Cool. So with the Graviton 4, we have also announced the RAG instances for EC2, which is part of our memory optimized instance family. It drives a fast performance for workloads that process large data sets in memory. So this will be like database applications or real-time big data analytics. It will provide the best price performance and energy efficiency thanks to the Graviton 4 processor behind it. And there's going to be more and more Graviton 4 instances coming soon, but this is the first one. With compute as well, one of the important things that pretty much everyone is using right now, as Rami mentioned, it's machine learning. And in reInvent, we have announced the AWS Trainium 2, which is the second generation chip for a purpose-built for high-performance training of foundational models. Foundational models is basically the Gen AI large language models. Trainium 2 is designed to deliver up to 4x faster performance compared to the first generation. And that makes it ideal for training foundational models with hundreds of billions or even trillions of parameters. Trainium 2 will power the next generation of EC2 Ultra clusters to deliver up to 65 exaflops of aggregate compute. So this is really going to be great if you are working on building or training foundational models or working on training those Gen AI models. Also from a machine learning, we know that customers want to train the models, and to train the models, you need to have a large amount of reliable clustered capacity. But if you have been in that area, you know that you don't necessarily need the same amount of all the compute all the time. So for example, you might be training a model and then you would stop. I want to evaluate how my model is performing right now. And if I don't think it's performing to my expectation, I want to make some changes and then do more training. So this need for short-term clustered capacity is something that no cloud providers were addressing. Hence, we introduced this capacity blocks for ML. Capacity blocks for ML are the first consumption-based model in the industry that enables the customers to reserve highly sought-after GPU capacity to run their short-duration ML workloads. And that addresses this short need like for compute capacity to train your models. And it's also really great because those EC2 capacity blocks are deployed in Ultra cluster that are interconnected with EFA networking, which enables the customer to scale up to hundreds of GPUs in a cluster. This is usually used for ML. So if you are building a web application, you probably will not be using that amount of CPU. But if you are working in machine learning, this really becomes really valuable because it also optimizes your cost. Moving from compute, I want to talk a little bit more about the storage. Back in the day, if you're working in an enterprise where you had all of your data on disk arrays, which takes weeks to provision and have a finite capacity, S3 provides a highly durable, highly performant object storage that lets customers scale instantly. We have added so many storage tiers, including S3 Glacier Deep Archive, which delivers archive storage at less than a tenth of a cent per gigabyte, sorry. But also we know that not everyone will go and keep changing the tiers manually all the time. So we have introduced the intelligent tiering to do this on your behalf. The intelligent tiering optimizes the storage costs by automatically moving the data to the most cost-effective access tier when the access patterns change. So based on the access patterns of your objects, the intelligent tiering will change the class of the objects that the objects are using. And recently, we at AWS have been thinking about the storage and how can we address the use case when you have a set of object storage that are frequently accessed and need a latency set and for workloads that are latency sensitive. So I want to get those objects really frequently, and I want to have the minimal latency possible. That led us to introduce a new feature, which is Amazon S3 Express One Zone. And I like this one announcement because it's very descriptive. It's a new S3 storage class purpose-built to deliver the highest performance and lowest cloud object storage latency. S3 Express One Zone uses a purpose-built hardware and software to accelerate the data processing. It gives you the option to choose which availability zone, so you can bring your data next to your compute resources, and this minimizes the latency when the compute try to access the object storage. And it supports millions of requests per minute with consistent single-digit millisecond latency. That makes it 10 times faster than the standard storage. So if you are using S3 right now, this is the standard storage, S3 standard storage, and you have a workload that's latency sensitive, you might want to explore this Express One Zone. The faster data processing lets you save up to 60% in compute cost. And the data access costs are also 50% lower than the S3 standard. So if you have those kind of workloads, it can help you run them at a much lower total cost. With the storage as well, we have announced Amazon Elastic Cache Serverless. Elastic Cache Serverless means that you don't have any infrastructure to manage. We still have the servers, but you don't have to manage them. You also wouldn't need to do any capacity planning on your side. One of the critical features of cache is speed. We all introduce cache to our applications because we don't want to go to that database. We want to have that speed because the data in the cache. We have covered that because Amazon Elasticsearch Serverless provides you with a median latency of half a millisecond. This is not half a second, it's a half a millisecond, which is, for me, it's really mind-blowing. Elastic Cache Serverless can scale way beyond any single server could hope for, with up to 5 terabytes of memory. So this is really great, and if you have an application and you are using Elastic Cache, you should explore the Elastic Cache Serverless because it really helps you focus on the application and worry less about managing the infrastructure and the capacity planning. On the storage as well, we have introduced the Aurora Limitless database, which makes it easy for customers to scale their databases beyond the right throughput of a single database instance. With limitless database, there is no need to worry about routing your queries to a particular database shard. The application just connects to a single logical database, and Aurora Limitless database automatically distributes the data across multiple shards. You can also configure Aurora Limitless database to co-locate the rows from different tables in the same shard, and that will help minimize the effort required by the database to query across multiple shards, which improve your application performance. So this really is great and improves your performance, In addition to that, unlike common sharding approaches, Aurora Limitless Database provides you with transactional consistency across all the shards. So those as capabilities, you still have them, which makes it possible to run transactions involving multiple shards easily. So you can do maintenance operations like database backups or schema updates. But still, for a peak performance, you will want to have those transactions localized to the shards as much as possible. So you want to get the maximum performance possible. We have also introduced Amazon RDS for DB2.
Hisham, بس مرات your voice is breaking up.
Okay, let me turn off the camera maybe, just in case it's...
Yes, maybe. بعدين mix it up. عربي, English, كل اللي معنا بيحكوا عربي.
مفيش مشكلة. سوري معلش. let me check the mic settings real quick. Is this better after turning off the camera?
أنا بالنسبة لي yes.
Okay. Can we have few thumbs up لو الصوت أفضل شوية? Okay. Coming through. All right. Amazing. All right. تمام. ممتاز. Let me switch back to the presentation. طيب واحدة من الحاجات اللي احنا we have introduced recently is Amazon RDS for DB2. And I think this is really good, especially if you have DB2 running on on-premise environment and you want to move that database out of on-premise data center to AWS. You can start planning that migration, because with RDS for DB2, you can deploy your database across multiple availability zone deployments similar to the other RDS databases and get all of those benefits with disaster recovery solutions, with cross-region backups, etc. And if you have your licenses, if you have paid the licenses already, you can bring your own licenses with that migration. Which means when you move from on-premise to the cloud, you are not investing more on the licenses. But how can I move from on-premise to the cloud? To move from on-premise to the cloud, you can use either the database migration service, DMS, or native DB2 tools. So that's with the Amazon RDS for DB2. واحدة من ال amazing features that I believe when it comes to the data warehouse solutions or the data warehouse announcements is Amazon Redshift support for Apache Iceberg. And the reason I think it's very important announcement, because with this announcement, you can easily access your Apache Iceberg tables on your data lake and join them in your data warehouse with your own data. So this capability offers increased performance whether you are accessing the data, whether you're accessing your data lakes using auto-mounted AWS Glue catalog or external schemas. It's I'm not sure if anyone is how many of the attendees using Redshift in the first place? All right. Couple of people there. All right. So if you are using Redshift, this is really a great feature that's worth exploring, because I will not dive a lot because there are only two that are using them, but I really encourage you to look into it, because you can run transactionally consistent data lake queries. You will get the right to write data using ACID compliant services with EMR and Glue. So it's really awesome. I think it's really worth exploring. I want to move to actually one of the, I think, great features that pretty much I started using immediately after the announcement, which is related to the observability of our applications. All of us, كلنا pretty much after deploying an application, we pretty much have to observe, monitor, and operate the solution in production. One of the announcements in reInvent canned the new experience, which is called My Application. It's a new experience in the AWS Management Console, when you log into the console, you will see it on the left-hand side, a link called My Applications. It gives you the visibility to cost, health, and security posture and performance information per application. If you want to drill down into one of those KPIs, you can just drill into it to find the service and the data points that are packing those insights. What I love about this feature is it's very easy to use. All what you have to do is to annotate your resources with a new standard AWS application tag. And that's it. This dashboard will start populating data. I really encourage you to start looking into this feature. I know for a fact that one of the most difficult things when it comes to observability is annotating your application. And one of the commonly used container orchestration platforms right now is EKS. I assume a lot of the attendees are already using EKS. And when you are using EKS, when I work with customers, one of the common asks, how can I get visibility into my containers? How would I understand what's happening in the container? And then the normal approach would be, okay, let's add some annotations, so that we can get some insights or observability and visibility on what's going on. But that's usually not easy to apply, especially if you have a vendor-based application or if you have some legacy application that you are just migrating and operating on top of the cluster. And this is where the application signals kicks in, which adds the observability to the applications in EKS without the need to manually instrument your code or even create a dashboard. It automatically discovers all of the microservices that are running on the cluster and gives you the same sort of matrices that we use to operate AWS services. So it will immediately give you insights into volume of requests, latency, errors. All of these things will just come out of the box. So it even gives you insights into, it gives you a service graph with a dependency map between those services. So if you are running EKS right now, you can get all of that just out of the box. واحدة من الفيتشرز I think it's pretty great is the Amazon CloudWatch infrequent access log class. With the infrequent access log class, it's a new class, right? It's for cost effectively consolidating all your logs natively on AWS. It offers a subset of the CloudWatch log capabilities, including managed ingestion, cross-account log analytics, and encryption. With this announcement of infrequent log class, what you will get is you can choose, the right class for your use case. So if you are using if you have a particular case that require extracting matrices from logs, anomaly detection, sensitive data protection, real time, all of these scenarios, you can use the CloudWatch log standard. But if you have use case that doesn't require frequent access, if you want to have after the fact forensic analysis kind of situation, there was an incident in the morning and I want to just go review the logs, what happened, what was the I don't know, what, based on your case, what were the steps happening inside the logs, so I can find what caused the issue. This is where you can go and use infrequent access log class. I just want to pause here for a second if there is any questions, because I don't see the questions window or the chat window. Okay. Doesn't look like there is any now. Please, if you have any questions, just post them on the chat, and every few minutes I'll just look at them.
حسام هذا كنت بدي احكيه هلا، انه اي حدا عنده question او نوت بده يحطها، احنا ممكن بالاخير باخر السيشن بالكيو اي to answer them all.
تمام. Okay. Amazing. Cool. With the security, I use containers a lot, and one of the great announcements was the Amazon Guard Duty ECS runtime monitoring. Amazon Guard Duty, it's one of the security services, and it introduces runtime threat detection for ECS, which includes serverless container workloads. So if you are running on AWS Fargate, you can start using this feature now, right? Guard Duty ECS runtime monitoring can be enabled very easily in Guard Duty console, and it's compatible with AWS organization. So what you will get out of that is it provides you with visibility into the operating system level activities. It provides you container level context. How can I get a value out of that? Basically, let's assume you are running a container and somehow you have imported a package that does cryptocurrency mining. You will get a notification of these kind of things. If there is some sort of unusual activity for unauthorized code execution inside the container, you will get an alert around that. So it's really great if you are running container workloads on ECS and even on Fargate. I encourage you to start looking into this capability. It's really great, and it's not complex to enable. It's pretty easy. So we talked about the compute and storage and observability. All of that is great. But the next thing I want to spend a bit more time on is more into how would you prepare for your Gen AI and machine learning applications. And to get a high quality data for your Gen AI, you have to have a strong data foundation. You can't just have some random data here and there without any strategy. And developing a strong data strategy isn't a new thing. Pretty much any organization I work with, they usually have a data strategy. Not necessarily all of the strategy have been implemented, but there is always a strategy. And in fact, many of the organizations have already started making the strategic investment in that area, from databases that deliver data to the application to business intelligence tooling that supports faster decision-making. Gen AI makes this data foundation more critical for each organization. So what you should have is your data foundation so what should your data foundation include? It should have comprehensive integrated set of services as well as tools to govern the data across the end-to-end workflow. So it should be comprehensive, integrated, and governed. So let's unpack those three words. How can we have comprehensive data foundation, right? To have comprehensive data foundation, you have to have your data in place. And for Gen AI, one of the common things when it comes to storing data is storing them in vector databases. And if you haven't heard of what is a vector database, it enables you to store your data in vectors. We as humans understand text, and with normal databases, you store your data in text. But computers and Gen AI applications and ML models, they need to have the data in numbers, and those numbers are stored in vectors. So one of the things that we have to work on to prepare our data for Gen AI applications is storing our data in vectors. Hence, we started introducing multiple announcements to enable you to store your data in vectors. So that included announcing that vector support for Amazon DocumentDB and vector support for Amazon DynamoDB. This means that you would have the flexibility to store your business application data as well as your vector data inside those databases. So those are really great capabilities, and you will have it, and you don't have to store like your vector data in separate data storage. We have also introduced the vector capabilities for Amazon Memory Database for Redis. In 2021, we added more purpose-built database, which is the memory database. If you haven't heard of it, it's a Redis-compatible, durable in-memory database service for ultra-fast performance. The customers that we work with has asked for in-memory optimized vector database. So this is not storing the vector database in DynamoDB or something stored on the storage, it's in memory. Hence, in reInvent, we have announced the vector capabilities that are available in preview for MemoryDB for Redis. So what this enables is you can start using that memory database to get vector search capabilities with a high throughput and concurrency. So if you have a use case that require speed and relevance of query results, memory database for Redis would be the right choice in that case. That's not the only thing when it comes to comprehensive data. Many of the customers that we work with are leveraging graph database, and they are using it to store and traverse interconnected data. And since graph analytics and vectors are all about uncovering relations across the data, we have introduced this new Amazon Neptune Analytics, it's an analytics database engine for Amazon Neptune. What that provides you is it makes it easier for data scientists and application developers to analyze large amount of graph data. It also makes it easier to discover the relationships in your graph with vector search. So you are getting those Gen AI capabilities using this Amazon Neptune Analytics feature. All of these announcements enables you to have a comprehensive data that is ready to be used for Gen AI applications. But what about the integration? My data is not only vector database. It's not all those embeddings that I store in numbers in my database. I already have business applications. I have an e-commerce application that stores my product catalog and store the customer purchase history, the invoices, everything. How would I get those data integrated into to get that strong foundational integrated data in my organization as part of my strategy? To achieve that, previously, we have already introduced the zero ETL integration between Aurora MySQL and Redshift. So if you are using Redshift already, you can connect it to MySQL without writing ETL job. We have all been there. We have all written ETL jobs, and we know how hard it is to just do the plumbing work to get the data from MySQL to Redshift. Or actually writing ETL in general, it's usually a little bit pain to get these ETL jobs written and working properly and having those incremental loads as opposed to full refreshes and everything. In reInvent 2023, we have also announced the zero ETL integration with Amazon Redshift. With those integrations were integration with Aurora Postgres, RDS for MySQL, and Amazon DynamoDB. Similar to the MySQL integration, all of these three zero ETL integrations works with Redshift. So what this means is you will have less work to do when it comes to ETL. You can focus more on your business application and how would you get the insights out of Redshift rather than doing the plumbing and deployment and maintenance and operations of the ETL jobs. Pushing the data to Amazon Redshift is really good when you have the data warehouse, but not all of the business cases is about reading data and pulling insights out of Redshift. There is a lot of cases where pulling the data out of different databases so that you can get some search capability. And this is where we introduced also the Amazon DynamoDB zero ETL integration with OpenSearch. What this provides you is it makes it pretty easy to have search capabilities on your DynamoDB data, because you don't have to write any ETL. It just happens out of the box. So less work to do on the ETL integration and building, operating, and maintaining all of those ETLs. Amazon DynamoDB is not the only source. We know that most of the customers do not store the data in OpenSearch, right? Some customers that we work with try to pull the data from a variety of sources like logs in S3 and different other sources. And that would mean that you would have to create ETL pipeline to OpenSearch. But we have announced it in reInvent zero ETL integration with S3. So again, it's yet another ETL that you don't have to worry about. So you can see this integrated strategy approach. We are trying to, we as AWS trying to help you worry less about all of these ETL jobs and those integrations between the different data services, especially with OpenSearch and Redshift. That takes us to the last piece of the puzzle, which is the governed data strategy for your data foundation. There were a couple of announcements that came in reInvent that I think really worth mentioning if you are working in like building strong data foundation. The first one is the Amazon Data Zone. Amazon Data Zone, if you haven't used it in the past, it's a data management service that helps you to catalog and discover, share, and govern your data across the organization. Right now, Data Zone uses machine learning to automatically add metadata to your data catalog. But to help you find the right data at the right time, customers often choose to add additional business context, such as explaining what is the purpose of the database, what are the adding column descriptors, which helps like employees in the organization to find the right data to answer or to address the use case that they are trying to do. But this is generally, it's very manual process. In reInvent, we have announced a new data zone capability to automatically suggest the business descriptions and add the context for your data. So instead of you going across all of your columns, all of your data, try to add those annotations and descriptions, we are doing that on your behalf. So it makes it way easier to understand and discover the data, and this feature will save a lot of people a huge amount of time, because instead of me going through all the data starting from like blank page, I have something to work with. The second announcement when it came to also the governance is actually a lot of the customers that I work with uses standard documents, and usually within the organization or even between organizations, there is a lot of data interchange. Any one of the attendees have ever built an ETL just to move the data from like one format to the other, like moving from XML to JSON or JSON to XML or something like that, just to share the data with another organization or another department in the organization? Right, just me built these kind of ETLs. All right, so generally with B2B data interchange, what you get out of the box is the capability to interchange documents, right? And you can build some transformation between different document formats. because it supports standard formats. So if you are working in retail, healthcare, or manufacturing, you can start using the data interchange to like share the data with different departments in your organization, and even different organizations that you are working with. It also have integration with AWS Transfer Family, which supports file transfers. So I think if you are working in an industry that's using like something like X12 EDI data formats, I highly encourage you to look at P2P data interchange. The last part that I want to go through is more into Gen AI applications and what are the announcements that are really related to that. We believe that any Gen AI application has 3 layers stack. The bottom stack, which is the infrastructure for training and inference. This is how you train your LLM models, tune them, and then with the inference, this is deploying them to production so that you can use them in your application. So this layer includes services like SageMaker, which provides you access to all of to build machine learning models, and it's usually used by machine learning practitioners to build and train those models. The middle layer, this is where you have the Amazon Bedrock, which provides you access to all of the LLM models and foundational models that you need to build and scale Gen AI applications. And finally, at the top layer, this is where you take the advantage about all of these.
هشام بس فويسك راح for 5 seconds بعدين رجع.
اوكي طيب معلش. مش عارف المشكله ايه مع النهارده مع جوجل. طيب خليني reiterate on the slide تاني. الانفراستراكشر any Gen AI stack has 3 layers. Infrastructure for foundational model. This is where you would have SageMaker to build and train the large language models. And the second layer, or the middle layer, this is where you will have Amazon Bedrock, which gives you access to all of these LLM models quickly to build and scale Gen AI applications. The top layer, and this is where you want to leverage the Gen AI capabilities without spending a lot of time on building, scaling, and deploying those Gen AI models. And this would include services like Amazon Q, which is our new generative AI-powered assistant that is tailored to your business. I want to dive deep into a lot of the announcements that came through reInvent 23, because I know that a lot of the customers right now are working on their Gen AI strategy, and a lot of these announcements will help you like understand what came in the last year. Amazon Bedrock is generally, if you haven't used it in the past, it's the easiest way to build and scale generative AI applications, because it's a fully managed service. So you don't have to train a Gen AI LLM model, deploy it, etc. You say, I want to use the model. So you can go find the right model for the right for the use case that you are trying to build. And reInvent 2023, we have announced a new model, which is Claude 2.1. And the reason I'm mentioning this announcement, because this updates provide 50% fewer hallucinations. And if you're working with Gen AI applications, it's one of the difficult problems to solve, of minimizing the hallucinations that comes out of the model. And it also reduces the number of false statements in open-ended conversations by 2 times. So the overall quality that you get out of this model has improved dramatically. So if you are using Claude model, I encourage you to try this new update. I think it will improve the quality a lot for your application. One of the things that we have seen with our customers is they want to experiment with publicly available models, so such as Meta and Llama 2. Hence, we have made that model available for Bedrock. So if you are building an application or a Gen AI application and you want to use the Llama 2, you can see that and it's available and you can start using it. You don't have to train it, deploy it, etc. We also offer Amazon Titan Text Lite and Amazon Titan Text Express. Those are two models that are now generally available. These are text-based models. So what does it mean? Titan Text Lite, it's small, it's cost-effective, that can be used for use cases like chatbot QA or text summarization, for example. It's very lightweight, so if you want to do some sort of fine-tuning, you can do that easily. On the other hand, Titan Text Express, it can be used for a wider range of tasks. Like if I want to build a use case for answering open-ended text generation, or I want to have more conversational chatbot, I think this would be better because it offers you like that sweet spot for cost and performance compared to the other larger models. So those two models now are generally available and you can try them out. I like this Amazon Titan image generator announcement because I like Stable Diffusion, I like generating images, and pretty much all of the people I know at some point in time generated like avatars using some sort of image generation service. And it's really growing on popularity, not only for individual users, it's also for industries like in advertising and retail, where customers usually need high quality visuals at scale. So the Titan image generator model enables the customers to produce high quality and yet realistic images, obviously using natural language prompts. What's even great is you can customize the images using data to create content, right? And that content would better reflect your business industry and your specific brand. One of the key features of Amazon of the Titan image generator, which I think it's really great, is it has been trained on a diverse data set. And what that provides you when you use it is it helps you mitigate the risk of bias or toxicity. So it's really great on that sense. All of these models from Bedrock are really great, but at the end of the day, you don't want to end up at, I want to go chat with a chat bot and get some answers, and then let's say I want to know what are the best places to visit in Jordan, right? I've never been there. I would love to go and visit, but I want to ask the question. But at the end of the day, when you are building a business application, what you want to do is you want to take action, right? So to take action, you would be required to organize multiple systems in your organization. So if I want to, for example, create an invoice or take an order, etc., I would need to organize multiple components or multiple systems in my organization. In reInvent, we have announced agents for Amazon Bedrock. And with agents, Gen AI applications can execute multi-step tasks across the company systems and even data sources for either just answering questions or taking actions like putting down a sales order or creating an invoice or creating a code, etc. So if you want to take your Gen AI application to that last mile of taking action, I encourage you to look at agents for Amazon Bedrock. with Gen AI models in general, one of the common concerns for customers is how can we have responsible AI policies? How can I guardrail my chatbot or my foundational model that or the business application that I'm using? So I don't want to get, for example, unintentionally my foundational model is generating some sort of a hate speech or insult or just some inappropriate content. Or if you are in a banking industry, you don't want to have your AI assistant giving some investment advice. To avoid all of these scenarios, you should be using Amazon guardrail for Amazon Bedrock, because guardrails can be used with any foundational model that is accessible by Amazon Bedrock. That would also include any custom models that you have to fine-tune. And you can provide this as provide some sort of consistency across all of the Gen AI models that you are building. So you can really leverage those guardrails to minimize the chance of having some sort of inappropriate content or all of these kind of issues that might come with just the content that's coming out of your foundational model. So now we have seen all of the out-of-the-box capabilities of how can I use the models with Bedrock. But usually when you are building Gen AI application, those Gen AI models are trained into a certain year. And a lot of the models out there, when you ask a question, they give you some of those answers that this model has been trained till year, let's say 2022. So it doesn't have fresh data. And not even that, in a lot of the business cases and the enterprise we work with them, they want to use the Gen AI and they want to train it onto their own specific data. So you want to fine tune the model to include your business context, your business data. And this is where the Amazon Bedrock customization capabilities comes in. One of the things that you can do with Amazon Bedrock is you can take any of the models that are accessible from Bedrock, like Amazon Titan Text Express or Amazon Titan Text Lite or Llama or Claude, or any of the models that are accessible from Bedrock, and you can fine-tune them based on label data that are stored in S3. After you train your model, you can store it and still access this new fine-trained model using Amazon Bedrock. Fine-tuning the model, it takes a little bit of expertise on the data labeling and etc. And it's not usually what most of the use cases would need. So there is another option when it comes to getting access of Gen AI applications with data, which is what's called retrieval augmented generation, which is basically you are when the model is generating the answer, you want to point them, here is my data. And one of the capabilities that we have announced is knowledge base, which enables you to connect the foundational model to your proprietary data sources. And those data sources will supplement the prompt that is sent to the model. Hence, the model will understand, when it comes to generating the answer, it understands your context and your data. One last option I will cover about the model tuning is continued model pre-training. And this is for Amazon Titan Lite and Express, which it's kind of self-descriptive. What happens in this technique is it uses a large volumes, but in this case, it's unlabeled data. It could be raw text of internal reports, financial plans, any unlabeled data that you have in your use case. And you use those unlabeled data to improve the foundational model knowledge and reasoning capabilities. So this also, it's for me, I kind of think about it, it's like those zero ETLs. I want to just continuously train my model without spending a lot of effort on labeling the data. With Gen AI applications, one of the really hard problems that I faced when I built applications for customers is model evaluation. How would I evaluate my model? How would I make sure that my model is actually meeting the business expectation? And this is where the model evaluation on Amazon Bedrock helps you address this ask, which is a new capability to enable the customers to quickly evaluate, compare, and select the best foundational model for the use case. This feature can perform automatic and human-based evaluations depending on your need. So, first of all, for the automatic evaluation, you can leverage curated dataset that you can use to do some quantitative criteria like accuracy or robustness, right? To evaluate the subjective criteria like brand voice, you can use the fully managed human review workflows. And the human reviews workflows, it's done with support from AWS evaluation experts as needed. So far, I've been talking about the Gen AI stack and with mainly focus on the first two layers, which is the infrastructure when it came to the training and models and the capabilities available in Bedrock, which gives you that quick access to those LLM models. But what about the other people in the organization? The people in the less tech savvy people that are still want to have the data that and they want to use the Gen AI applications to answer questions, and they want to get all of the data that is scattered across the organization, and in some use cases they might want to review data from different departments to make business decisions. How can we enable those business applications? And also, what about other use cases for developers? Like, how can we enable everyone in the organization to start using all of the Gen AI capabilities without the need to build and train and deploy LLM models? I just want to use the Gen AI capabilities. And this is where the Amazon Q has been announced, which is it's a new type of generative AI powered assistant which is designed to help you at work. And we have plugged in Q in pretty much everywhere that it will provide, and it will save you time in solving business problems. So the first place where we introduce the Q is in the console. So if you have been into the AWS console recently, you will see Amazon Q on the right-hand side, where you can actually start with asking questions like, which EC2 instance types provides the highest performance and for a certain use case like video encoding and transcoding. And you will immediately get the recommendations in the console. You don't have to deploy models. You don't have to use Amazon Bedrock. You don't have to use SageMaker. All of that you don't need to worry about. And this really helps you to save time when you are like, if I want to have an EC2 instance, I want to select which AMI to use or which instance class to use or instance family to use. Another place where we plugged in Amazon Q is IDE. So in your IDE, you can start using Amazon Q to ask questions about how would I write a description of a particular application code, or how would I write a certain how would I write a function to do a certain functionality. Amazon Q can answer these questions pretty easily. We have also introduced Amazon Q code transformation, which is really great because code transformation enables you to apologies. With Amazon Q code transformation, you can do a lot of upgrades for your code. So if you are working with Java application and you want to migrate, let's say from Java 8 to Java 17, you can do that pretty easily because Amazon Q code transformation, it will help you identify what packages needs to be updated, what are the dependencies, and what code that has been deprecated that needs to be changed. If there is some security best practice needs to be applied, all of that Amazon Q code transformation will help you with. Right now, it supports only Java-based applications, but eventually it will also support .NET workloads that if you would like to migrate them from Windows to Linux, for example. So if you are working with, if you are like in a professional services and you're working with customers and helping them with migrating code bases, or your organization have some legacy code bases that are sitting there, and because of the effort that it needs to migrate, you are basically delaying this action, you can start looking into code transformation. The other place that I have seen Q actually providing a lot of value is generative Amazon Q in Amazon Redshift, which is basically, if I want to write SQL query and I don't remember the syntax, or something that I just want to get quickly, instead of writing the SQL query and myself, what I can do right now is using natural language prompt, which will help me get the answer instead of writing the SQL query myself. One of the features that are coming soon also is using Amazon Q for data integration. Again, we want to minimize the effort that you want to do on ETL. So we have 0 ETL integrations, but not all the customers can, and not all of the use cases will be covered with the 0 ETL integration. So I understand that a lot of the customers and the use cases would still need to have some ETLs. So Q will be helping with building those ETLs. All of us use Amazon CloudWatch, and I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes I don't forget I forget the syntax about writing some of those queries. So with Amazon Q, it will help you to like use natural language to describe what you want to achieve, like give me the slowest 10 lambdas, and that will give me the answers using my CloudWatch logs. It uses the context where you are running those natural language prompts, and it will help you a lot to get the answer quickly. The other place that I think it's really good, at the end of the day, all of the data that we are collecting, we need to present it in some sort of dashboard. And it's really important to make that easy. And we have also introduced Amazon Q in Amazon QuickSight. That enables you to easily build dashboards without a lot of BI, business intelligence knowledge, or heavy knowledge in Amazon Q. So it helps you build those dashboards faster. On top of that, we have Amazon Q for business experts, which basically it has I think it's over 40 connections to enterprise systems. So you can use Amazon Q for business experts, connected to your business or enterprise business applications, and they're your business users, like people in finance, marketing, HR, product development, or product management. All of these people do not really have to do anything apart from just asking the question, and the answers will start coming through. This doesn't mean that everyone in the organization will have access to all of the organization data. It still respects the roles and permissions and the granularity of the data that has been assigned to each user. I've taken a bit more than what I planned for at the beginning of the session, but thanks a lot for listening in. I try to cover as much as possible, but obviously I cannot cover everything in 1 hour. I'll try to go through the questions that we have here.
Exactly حسام، اول شيء we're extremely thankful لك، واي نو انت اصلا since البارت الاولاني من السيشن you said انه 1 hour حتى 2 3 hours ما راح يكونوا
100%.
enough. هلا in general الريكاب حسام، بس عشان نعطي general idea للاتنديز انه الارياز اللي اطلعوا عليها و some major updates. We both know انه
Yep.
I guess a couple of days is not to cover everything, مش couple of hours.
Fair enough. Yes.
Yes, so I guess let's address the questions اللي on the side، وبرضه the floor is open والمايك is open لأي حدا عنده سؤال.
100%. Yes. All right. So I'll just go through the questions. No networking updates. I did. As I said, there is heaps of updates. I didn't get the chance to cover everything. Yeah, but there is announcements on the networking side as well. I just don't have all of the time to cover the networking updates. Is my voice coming clear? I'm getting some notifications on.
Your voice is شوي في break up، بس يعني I can
okay.
يعني I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So there has been so many announcements that came through in reInvent, right? So I as I said, I can't cover all of them. Just for security, for example, just to give some updates, or if you are interested in security, right? Some of the things that, as I said, the Amazon Guard Duty ECS runtime monitoring. There is also EC2 runtime monitoring if you are using EC2 instances. There has been a bunch of enhancements happening on the AWS Security Hub. There is also improvements on the Security Hub control parameters. There is heaps of enrichments when it came to Security Hub findings, and also there's integration for what was it called? The Amazon Inspector integration with CI and CD. There was also introduction of a preview feature for Amazon Inspector agentless scanning for Amazon EC2 instances. There is also Amazon Inspector code remediation for AWS Lambda functions. This is really great feature. I really like it because I like to have my code secure, and Amazon Inspector makes this much easier. What else? Trying to remember. I think there was also some analyzer checks for IAM rules. Like you can use IAM access analyzers to see what's not used, so you can basically drive your organization towards least privilege. So there are heaps of security announcements. I just picked one of the things that is more relevant to the work that I do, and I think it's one of the most important ones. It doesn't mean it's the only important one. There are heaps of other announcements. I hope that answers the question. On the My application, there was a question on cross account. I didn't test My application cross account, and actually I'm not sure what would be the use case for having a cross account application. So I don't have the answer to that, but I can check it out and get back to you on the Meetup group. Graviton 4, is it available for free tier? Right now, it's only for the R8G instance, so I don't think that one is covered in the free tier. But it's that's from the top of my head, so it's worth checking. But from top of my head, I don't think it's covered in the free tier. AWS credit vouchers up for grabs. Here is how to get in action. Okay, that's Rami.
أنا saying إنه في عندنا كريدت، يس كريدت، سو للانترستد بارتيز بس يبعثوا لنا على هذا الايميل، والوينرز نبعث لهم ايميل دايركت. هلا انت نكست كويشن عندك بعد جرافيتون اللي هو ماي ابلكيشن سبورت فور كروس اكونت.
Yeah, I'm not aware of if that feature is available or not. To be fair, I haven't tried it myself. I don't know what will be the use case, but I would love to hear what's the use case that you have in mind for cross account.
محمد طبعا is a member since way back وهو frequent دائما بيجي. محمد if you can إذا عندك if you can summarize الكويشن تبعك الكيس تبعك I mean. طبعا لساته معنا محمد. طبعا دائما محمد عنده interesting questions.
ما فيش مشكلة.
أي حدا تاني عنده أي
While he's writing, just for the networking, actually one of the features just I remembered is the mutual TLS support in the application load balancer. Just remember this one because actually I'm going to use it in a project with a customer that I'm working on. So I think it's really great feature, and I think it's like if you are using application load balancer and you are working on enterprise, one of the common asks is mutual TLS. So I think that's really one of the good ones that I really like, and I'm just gonna use it pretty much in the next couple of weeks. Okay, Mohammed also shared the top announcements. That's that's quite good. It's quite good resource. There are heaps there, and I don't think those are only the top. I didn't even cover serverless stuff because there has been one of the things with serverless, like in scaling Lambda, like 12 times faster with handling high volume. That was it's super awesome. I use Lambda all the time, and that level of scalability is super great. محمد I haven't seen مش شايف السؤال بس still if you have the case just send it on the group. I'll try to answer later unless you are still writing يعني.
إذا he's still writing هاي صارت كيس هاي صارت بنعمل فيها تيكت وبنقعد عليها. Anyone else عنده any type of question? Let's use حسام مش كل يوم راح يجينا.
ان شاء الله نجيلكم كتير.
إن شاء الله. إن شاء الله. one of the main topics أنا بالنسبة لي بتذكر لما حكيت أنا وياك when we started arranging هاي السيشن قلت لك by default ال AI ML in general هاي ال area of focus للماركت كامل مش بس لأمازون. والsecurity is a topic يعني it's a never ending story. Security understanding the layers تبعت السكيورتي it's gonna take you years and years. الاتاكس ولا عمرها توقف ولا in general السكيورتي دائما الثريت تبعه is renovated بطريقه جنون.
100% and كل feature release it require like thinking about the security. How would I deal about the security for this?
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
في عندنا question is there a roadmap for CloudFront to support MTLS؟ طبعا this question has been going back and forth لفترة كويسة يعني مش عم ناخذ clear answer.
Unfortunately, I don't have information about this piece. I don't know. I would need to reach out to the service team, and I need to check. I don't have the info.
you would do me a favor لأنه أنا هذا الكويشن انسألت وسألته أكثر من مرة و no clear answer so far.
Yeah. I would again for me I don't have that information. I'm not aware of any public announcement of mutual TLS support for CloudFront. I would have to further check.
Updates will apply into certification.
I'm not sure if I'm following محمد.
أنا محمد أنا برضو ما فهمت الكويشن.
شباب كيفكم؟ هو قصده إذا كان السيرفيسز الاناونسد في ري ايفنت هل حتظهر في السيرتيفيكتس؟ لو مثلا أنا عايز أمتحن whatever امتحان.
والله بص احنا ال certificate topics are like they usually get updated. My recommendation is to check the certificate يعني the link of the certificate. التوبكس اللي مكتوبة في each certificate are the ones that you will have in the exam. يعني مش هنجيب حاجة من بره المنهج.
أكيد بس from my experience المرة اللي فاتت كان إنه ما بتظهر مباشرة، يعني بتاخد فترة كده حتى بعدين ده updated.
This is exactly my answer لك محمد. هذا مش AWS answer, experience answer. Yes, it will be implemented على exams لأنه basically they need you to understand if you practice, if you practitioner, if you work بهذا الفيلد. فلما تكون في updated version من السيرفيس او التول او النيو تول اور فيرجن they need you انك انت تكون at least عارف البيسكس تبعها. So from my personal experience, yes, it will be reflected على الامتحانات. Any upcoming new protected services by Shield Advanced? حسام.
Any upcoming new protected services by Shield Advanced? From the top of my head, I don't remember any announcements relevant to that area from reInvent. I don't recall any new services protected by Advanced Shield. I don't recall any announcements relevant to that. Alrighty. Doesn't look like in a few more questions. Are we good, Rami?
Yes, and I'm happy I took your advice انك انت قلت لي to shift it half an hour. وطلع 100% التايمينج تبعك صح. Again حسام شكرا كثير لك وشكرا كثير لوقتك ولكل النولج you shared with the community. Again في عندنا كريدت احنا راح يتوزع. There's an email بس send your name وإن شاء الله راح يكون في عندنا event next month والشهر اللي بعده. Basically راح نحولها إن شاء الله on a monthly basis. حسام I know for a fact إنه راح نحكي كمان topic very soon.
إن شاء الله.
appreciate كل الوقت تبعك كل الافورت و hopefully we meet very soon.
إن شاء الله إن شاء الله. شكرا جدا لكل الناس اللي حضرت. يعني appreciate taking the time و I hope it was beneficial لكل الناس.